We are going to a Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, wow, wow.
SGA did not play like the MVP last night. Nope. He did not. That was a very young team having a young moment. Yes. And for as much as everybody is like, hey, they always bounce back the game after they lose, we haven't been seeing them bounce back in a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I'm worried about OKC.
The way I see it is we suck tonight. We have to learn the lessons. And we have one game for everything we've worked for.
In a moment, we're going to be unveiling our name, colors, and logo.
Most valuable player award is Russell Westbrook.
Paul George has been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I was telling him, I'm excited for you. I love to watch you play and we talk. Who would have knew a week later we'd be teammates.
SGA, stutter step, hard the run, and he climbs the rim for the slam. Here is Dort. He'll step into the three. That one goes in. Up and under, off the backboard. Chet Holmgren set it up for himself.
It's one game for everything you ever dreamed of. If you win it, you get everything. If you lose it, you get nothing. And it's that simple.
In 2019, after trading foundational stars like Russell Westbrook and Paul George to begin a full franchise pivot, Sam Presti wrote a letter to the newspaper, laying out a bold vision. It was setting the table for what was ahead, an unpredictable road that had no timeline, but one that would require a hefty amount of resolve, resilience, and belief. From Presti's now infamous letter, in order to build and then sustain a truly great basketball team, it requires a method. This method is not guesswork or a convenient message that miscasts others' good fortune as a repeatable skill. To build true excellence in any industry and then sustain it, it requires trading on time and playing the empirical odds. This will require strategic discipline and thoughtful patience, but these are values our organization has always held high. That's how longevity is earned. It is important to remember that. 6 years later, the Thunder became NBA champions. But any team that makes it to the end and finishes its season with a win has to go through quite a journey. It's a winding road of ups and downs, hardships and heartbreaks, triumphs and fulfillment. It's been 13 years since the Thunder appeared in the NBA Finals, and the road they've wandered since tells quite the tale. The entire 17-year history of the Thunder is one of high drama and twists and turns, joy and defeat, the kind of pure sports story packed into a tight time frame. I'm not sure when, but at some point, there's going to be a widespread appreciation and acknowledgement for what the Oklahoma City Thunder did in not just the 2024-25 season, but over this 17-year period. But this team was historically great and had a dominant season by one of the youngest teams in the NBA, by the way. And to certify it, they had to take that next step, becoming the first Thunder team to do it. This was a team completely built from the ground up, with a plan in place and a vision to be realized. It was meticulously crafted with a style of play and identity to follow, with a leader on the floor and a clear hierarchy voluntarily followed by all. It's a team that isn't supposed to be here this fast, but
age is a number, sacrifice and maturity is a characteristic, and these guys have it in spades.
This is a team that the sports world should be celebrating and appreciating and marveling at. Because how did this happen? And how did it happen so fast? We know the background pretty well at this point. Paul George asked for a trade, OKC gets Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a dump truck full of first-round picks. And the first one that the Thunder used turns into Jalen Williams, 12th overall, which, by the way, the Thunder landed because Paul George got COVID and had to miss the Clippers play-in game in the bubble. One of the many ways luck can play out in an NBA story. It was just 4 years ago that this Thunder team lost in 7 games in the first round in the Disney bubble to the Houston Rockets. Then they tore it all down, winning 20 games the next season in front of no fans at all. then 24 the next season, and then 40 to earn a spot in the play-in, then 57 to become the youngest team ever to be a number 1 seed, and then this season, 68 wins, the 4th most in NBA regular season history, with a historic net rating and the most double-digit wins in NBA history.
This is a team.
It wasn't some kind of cakewalk, though. It started out with Isaiah Hartenstein breaking his hand in training camp. Then Chet Holmgren broke his hip and had to miss 50 games. The Thunder played almost 2 whole weeks with no healthy centers on the roster because Jalen Williams, J-Will, was dealing with a hamstring strain, so J-Dub had to start the game at center, jumping tip against Ivica Zubac.
Zoo and Jalen Williams having a bit of a laugh. It's appearing that Jalen Williams will be the 5 spot. The toss to tap, hey, Zoo wins the tap. It'll be interesting to see, though, how the Clippers play this offensively without trying to force it to Zoo. We've seen Zoo and his playmaking abilities in this young season. They've been impressive. They go right to Zoo against Williams. Takes the ball right out of his hands, and this is where Oklahoma City is at their best in transition, and Isaiah Joe links it up and in for the first bucket.
All told, the Thunder only had their entire roster healthy and available for 8.5% of the regular season. But still, they set historic marks with the best defense in the NBA and a top 5 offense to go with it. And yet, maybe because of their youth, or maybe because they hadn't proven anything in the postseason yet, a lot of folks doubted them all season long.
Are you sure? Do you feel really comfortable? Are you willing to put your 30-year NBA covering the NBA career on the line that says OKC is legit?
No. I think that they look legit. I don't know if there's some black cat running around that franchise. I don't know what the hell is going on, but somehow, some way, they find a way not to get it done.
They finished the season with the MVP of the league, 2 All-NBA players, and 2 All-Defensive Team players. On paper, this was the clear title favorite. But of course, experience often matters in sports, and the Thunder were going to have to cut their teeth again in the cauldron that is the NBA playoffs. Like the season before, the Thunder opened with a first-round sweep. Pretty clear-cut. They smashed Memphis by 51 in Game 1, then cruised to another double-digit win in Game 2. Game 3, the Thunder actually trailed by 29 and behind a masterful performance from Chet where he hit 4 threes in the second half, along with an unfortunate injury to Ja Morant. The Thunder roared back to win and take a 3-0 lead.
Man, the best game, my favorite game is always the next game. We came out here, it wasn't pretty, they hit us first, but we did what we had to do, came away with the win, now we gotta get ready for Game 4.
Game 4 was a dogfight, but SGA hit a dagger step back, and the Thunder held Memphis off to move on in 4 games.
Later, Grizzly dudes.
The next series was the true test of the Thunder's progress. The Mavericks eliminated OKC in 6 games the prior season, exposing a few areas they needed to improve on. And the Nuggets, with championship-tested players like Nikola Jokić, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon, were going to try to do the same. Game 1 was a gut punch, with OKC leading all game long, but not able to execute down the stretch, then fouling up 3, but not making their own free throws, and suffering the consequences with Gordon hitting a game-winning 3.
Westbrook, 5 seconds, they're down by 1, Gordon, got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot! Williams, 3-quarter court, no good! The Nuggets steal Game 1!
Tough to be in an 0-1 hole, but OKC bounced back with a blowout win in Game 2, and then took another gut punch, losing in overtime in Game 3 in Denver. One thing that got lost a little bit to history because the Thunder lost the game is that Dub played extremely well in that Game 3, 32 points and 5 assists, and hit some massive shots down the stretch that really should have won the Thunder the game.
Williams in transition, oh, he caught a body!
But after a season of not playing hardly any clutch time games because of how dominant they were, the Thunder struggled executing again, and Aaron Gordon hit another dagger 3, and it felt like the Thunder were on the actual ropes here. On the road against Jokic, facing the possibility of a 3-1 hole in Game 4. SGA, though, after the Thunder lost in overtime, walked off the court with a smile Now an image that looks quite iconic.
Why are you smiling? You're freaking me out.
But Game 4, Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace saving basketball in the second half with some timely shooting when the Thunder had to have it. And SGA surgical and Dub playing downhill in the fourth quarter, the Thunder improved dramatically in clutch time to take Game 4 and re-control the series in what was the ultimate gut check game.
Yeah, every game is do or die in a series against a really good team. One game can shift the complete control of the series, and we've realized that. So yeah, every game here on out in the past 4 have been do or die. We keep that mentality.
Then there was Game 5. When the dust fully settles on this Thunder season, we start remembering key moments and looking back on it, Game 5 is going to be the one that rises to the top of all of it. The Thunder were in the mud all game long, struggling to get any rhythm, and it was feeling like history was completely repeating itself, with that Dallas series from a year ago all over again. With a dramatic Game 4 win to come home 2-2 for a pivotal Game 5, and the Thunder, again maybe because of their youth or inexperience or whatever reason, just were not able to take advantage. OKC was down 8 going into the fourth, and the Thunder were desperate for a spark, any kind of spark. And it came with 8:23 left in the fourth as Lu Dort hit a 3.
SGA on the feed, Dort the 3, money.
That got it down to 6. Then Dort hit another 3.
Lu Dort bangs it home.
That got it down to 5. Then Lu Dort hit another one.
Lu Dort got a 3.
And it was now a 2-point game, and the Thunder had life.
I never doubted you, not for a second.
And before we move on, let me just say, there is genuine beauty in this being Dort that saved the Thunder's season. He is the heart and soul of the team, representative of so much about who the Thunder are. An underdog, undrafted, overlooked, doubted, but someone that was built through relentless hard work and focus and determination.
It's crazy. I mean, looking back to my first year, I went undrafted. 6 years ago now, June 19 was the draft, and then that week was probably the worst week of my life. And you look now, June 22nd, 2025. I'm a champion now, so it's crazy when how I circle back, and then I had to trust the process and how this organization gave me a great opportunity, and then I'm grateful and I'm happy to be here.
Now down 2 with 4:43 left, a quintessential example of all of that. Long rebound, Lu Dort is first to the ball, sprawling out to dive out of bounds to save it, and it ends up being a game-tying layup from Chet a few seconds later. These are the kind of plays you make to win, and these are the kind of plays Lu Dort was making in 20 and 24 win seasons when hardly anybody was watching.
As Dort in his NBA debut, hustling, diving.
The final 5 minutes of that game are all-time. SGA dueling Jokic, the top 2 candidates for MVP. Jokic hitting just an absolutely absurd Sombor shuffle 3, then Dub responding from the wing for 3 to retake the lead. After a huge stop, SGA then icing it with a pull-up 3.
Gilgeous-Alexander on target.
Game 5 is the game that's going to go down in Thunder history as the most important ever. Because let me tell you, that wild 3 from Jokic felt like exactly the kind of thing that has happened so often to the Thunder in these last 17 years. Some kind of insane play, some burst of bad luck at the worst possible moment, some unfair break that just cost them everything. But J-Dub's answer, honestly, might be the single biggest shot in Oklahoma City basketball history. It came out of ideal Thunder basketball, by the way, a drive, a kick, a swing to an open rhythm shot. Dub screaming at his wrist after it went in was like Thunder fans exercising so many past demons. Because if that shot doesn't go in, you can only imagine the heartbreak that was sure to come next. It wouldn't have surprised me if Klay Thompson somehow appeared out of nowhere to hit the next big dagger 3 right in the Thunder's face. But that didn't happen this time. Which, by the way, with the context now that Dub was playing the entire postseason with a torn ligament in his shooting wrist, and then hitting that shot, legendary. Absolutely legendary.
The part that I'm most impressed with is, in our modern era, when someone has a poor performance, or they're not playing to their capability in a game, and there's a lot of attention on it, you often see little birdie make sure that everybody knows that the player is not 100%. Never happened with this guy. Not one time. He powered through. He showed incredible mental endurance and security in himself. And I've said this many times, the best players are secure players. And I really thought it was pretty impressive that he just kept moving along with no excuses, and obviously played his best basketball, down the stretch of the season.
Game 6, moving on, just moving past that. But Game 7, the Thunder absolutely avalanched the Nuggets. Alex Caruso, who had been awesome already throughout the postseason, showing everybody why he's such a winning player and exactly the kind of guy you want on your team in the postseason. He was a critical part as OKC eliminated Jokic and OKC's defense became its offense.
Caruso with yet another steal. Caruso throws it back. SGA throws it down.
This was exactly what we saw from the Thunder all season long. Overwhelming teams for stretches of the game, bombarding them with turnovers, and taking what was a 6-point game into 26 before anyone could realize it.
Another turnover. Back to Williams, inside, it's good. It's a Thunder avalanche here to end the second.
One thing I do want to say about Game 6 and Game 7. Dub did not play well in Game 6, but brilliantly bounced back in Game 7. Something that may not have happened without the growth from last postseason. And there was some chatter about Dub and if he was this or if he could be that. And after Game 6 against the Nuggets, he went to new heights as a player. Through Game 6 against Denver, 19.2 points, 42% shooting, just 24% from three, and he was only getting to the free throw line 4.9 times a game in 10 games. After that Game 6, 23.1 points per game, 46.7% shooting, 36% from three, and he got to the free throw line a lot more consistently.
Jump shot is good. Talk about a bounce back.
Dub's ascension in those final 13 games completely altered OKC basketball history. The next series against the Wolves was a very interesting matchup. A lot of people were picking Minnesota. Two young rising stars, the media trying to kind of plant this narrative that they were somehow rivals. It was an aura off, whatever that means. And then it was the size of Minnesota against the speed of OKC. And oh, by the way, hey, did you know that SGA and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are cousins?
It'd be very fun. It's hard to even explain. Like, if you know how close we are, he's literally like my second brother. He's been through every stage of life with me, and picking up a basketball to going to prep school to making the NBA. Like, we've gone through every situation together. For both of us to be where we are is special. To compete against each other is even more special. But I am trying to take his head off for sure.
Games 1 and 2, the Thunder completely controlled. SGA was in full MVP form, and with a lot of talk about Minnesota playing a zone, the Thunder solved it quite effortlessly. Cason Wallace was especially great against it, knocking down some key shots, and a lot of it was also due to just how many good looks the Thunder got against zone defenses all season long. Nobody in the league was zoned more than the Thunder were this past season, with opposing teams trying to scheme anything possible to slow down SGA and Dub. The Nuggets especially leaned on zone a ton in their series against OKC, so the Thunder were pretty uniquely prepared and ready to attack it.
Let's go to zone! Let's go to zone! Defense! 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 Defense!
Game 3, though, not good. Sensing a weird trend here, by the way, about Game 3s, the Wolves cranked their intensity in that game, the Thunder did not handle it well, and it resulted in an embarrassing blowout that felt like it might flip the series. Everybody was wondering, did Minnesota figure something out? What happened to the Thunder?
Yeah, we just didn't bring it from an energy and focus standpoint. They obviously had it with the sense of urgency, knowing like if they go down 3-0, it's going to be pretty tough. And we just, what it felt like, just eased into the game, and they didn't, and they blitzed us pretty early, and then we were never able to get back because of it. But yeah, they just came out with a sense of urgency, and we didn't. And on top of that, when you play a really good team, it looks like that. So we got to come out with a sense of urgency, and then see where the game lays.
But as this Thunder team does, and they have all season long, they got themselves back to 0-0, which is a baseline to start from each game. And the Thunder's baseline was better than basically every other team's this season. And they just needed to match a little of that intensity and physicality that Minnesota brought in Game 3, and now bring it in Game 4. And what we saw was another all-timer. The Wolves and Thunder exchanging blows all game long. The Thunder had an answer for everything, hitting key shots, coming up with massive stops, just playing a fantastic overall game. And it also had some moments that are also going to go down in Thunder lore.
Against Gobert. Shot clock at 7, drives, pulls back, drives again, stops, falls down, gets it to Williams, three-pointer. It's good, Jalen Williams with a
That Game 4 showed the full potential of the Thunder. SGA was brilliant, Dub was awesome, and Chet was dominant on both ends. The composure, the execution, the shot making. This was the game where you saw the last 4 seasons of stacking days and stacking possessions all coming together.
3-1 now, you get a chance to close it out at home in Oklahoma City on Wednesday. How do you get it done?
Play to our identity on both ends of the floor. If we do that, we'll be just fine. If not, it can get ugly. So we just got to be who we are and trust our work, trust our habits.
Now back home with a chance to go to the finals, Game 5 felt like it was about pressure and composure and focus more than anything else. Would the Thunder get distracted about what was possibly on the other side of this game? The answer was nope, not at all. They hammered the Wolves, allowing only 9 points in the first quarter and absolutely pouring it on throughout.
Well, the magical season continues. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going back to the NBA Finals.
And what we saw throughout this run through the West was the power of team, the depth of the group, the skill of staying ready. Everybody had their moments. Caruso against Memphis and then against Jokic. Kenrich Williams coming up in big spot minutes. J-Will stepping in to defend Nikola Jokic and hitting big shots and grabbing big rebounds. Wiggs and Jayson off the bench playing great defense and hitting timely threes. Isaiah Joe knocking down shots when the Thunder had to have them. This is what it takes. You have to have a team.
Gilgeous-Alexander inside! Hartenstein! Big time flush!
What we saw was a team that was organically constructed with continuity and consistency helping them bloom through player development. It wasn't about stockpiling players in the lottery as so many thought that the Thunder did. They had one player on this roster via a 20-win season, and that was Chet Holmgren. Everyone else was late lottery players or second rounders or undrafted. This was a collection of players that assembled into an unexpected juggernaut, crafted meticulously to fit a style and identity, but also with a mentality to sacrifice for one another. And now, it was on to the NBA Finals for them. The Thunder entered as heavy favorites against the Pacers, who were a true NBA Cinderella. The Thunder went 29-1 against the East in the regular season, by the way, the best record ever against an opposing conference, and were undefeated against the East at home. Which, fun fact, by the way, the Thunder hadn't lost to an Eastern Conference team in OKC in almost 18 months. The last time they did, March 12th, 2024, against the Indiana Pacers. Quite a perfect sports narrative setup for Game 1. The matchup wasn't marquee by casual standards, but for hoopheads, it was dream basketball stuff. Indiana's outrageous space and pace offense against the Thunder's swarming, suffocating, switchable defense. Both teams leaning into depth and teamwork and chemistry and passing. Game 1, the Thunder led for 47 minutes and 59.7 seconds. They outplayed the Pacers essentially the entire game. But as Indiana had done all postseason through their march across the Eastern Conference, they just flat out stole Game 1. The Thunder didn't execute well down the stretch, a lot of breaks went Indiana's way, and it resulted in Tyrese Haliburton having a shot to win it, which everyone in the history of everything knew before he took it, it was going in.
Haliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Haliburton does it again. Their first lead of the game.
Now the Thunder were down 0-1 again in a series, and coming out of that game, there was a lot of talk about it. Did that kind of feel like Denver Game 1? Bookmark that. One other thing about this game too. It's a shame OKC lost because Lu Dort made one of the most insane defensive plays ever with this block that should have gone down as one of the great plays in Thunder history. So let's not forget it.
Smith the drive inside, blocked by Dort. Oh, what a rejection from Lu Dort. SGA drives, the finish, it's good.
So now the Thunder were going to be playing uphill again. Game 2 went a lot like Game 2 against Denver. The Thunder responded back to 0-0, controlling the game throughout. Their defense was nasty, SGA was masterful, and the Thunder had the series evened up. Did what they had to do, transitioning back to Indiana. A lot of people picked OKC in 5, and it was technically still on the table, but it meant they'd need both games in Indianapolis.
We did some things good tonight, we did some things bad, and we got to be able to get better and get ready for Game 3.
Game 3 wasn't just like Game 3 in Denver, but the end result was. The Thunder actually led going into the fourth quarter this time, as opposed to what happened in Denver, but with just 18 points in the fourth quarter and allowing 32 for the Pacers, for the first time in the series, the Pacers looked like the better team for a game. Things like the way that Indiana used their pickup points, guarding full court, and just wearing down SGA were a big-time talking point coming out of that game. OKC only getting off 22 three-point attempts was concerning. The offense felt sticky. Ben Mathurin went off for 27 points off the bench, and the depth of the Pacers was the one that looked dynamic. And again, OKC was in a 2-1 hole facing a monster Game 4 on the road. But that's what getting back to 0 is all about. The Thunder basically had trained themselves for this over the last few years. The team went to a dinner at Hyde Steakhouse in Indy, and the atmosphere at it was as it always is, stable, consistent, upbeat. Even with the biggest game of all of their lives looming 48 hours ahead on the road, the Thunder were themselves. And like Denver, Game 4 was a grind. The Thunder trailed throughout the game, struggling to find any kind of footing. Entering the fourth quarter, down 7. It wasn't some sort of emphatic tidal wave run as we often see from OKC, but they just chipped away. Alex Caruso hit an insane fadeaway jumper. Chet had some massive putbacks. The Thunder got it finally to a possession game with 5 minutes to go, and that's when SGA cemented a legacy with an iconic finals performance. 15 of the final 16 points, the most in the final 5 minutes of a finals game in 50 years. His 3 with 2:58 left was the biggest shot until he hit his patented baseline step back to give OKC the lead with 2:23 left, which, by the way, was neither a push-off or a travel. Learn the rules, you casual. Chet was unreal defensively, switching out onto Haliburton. Caruso had 20 gigantic points off the bench, and the Thunder won a game on the road where they shot 3 of 17 from 3, which in the modern NBA is like winning a baseball game with 0 hits or a football game with 10 passing yards. It's nearly impossible, but it was another gut check for this young team, and they answered it. Then it was another Game 5 at home, and the Thunder outplayed Indy throughout, except for a brief run where the Pacers cut it to 2 in the fourth, and it got tense. But Dub again responded with, we'll call this the next biggest shot of his life, a nearly identical 3 to the one he hit against Denver, this time on the exact opposite end of the floor. It was SGA to Dort to Dub. And by the way, don't miss how amazing SGA's pass was that got the ball to Dort. Then a steal by Jayson, and the Thunder had retaken control of the game. a Dort corner three, then 4 straight steals by OKC to Avalanche Indy, featuring Alex Caruso sprawling out all the way, swimming on the floor to come up with a loose ball.
Pressure is a privilege, is what he says. Ball knocked away by Caruso, dives on it, holds onto it. The smothering, suffocating defense strikes again.
Maybe the loudest Paycom Center has ever been. Then, for good measure, another 3 from the top of the key from Lou that got the appropriate bang treatment.
Dort lines up, three-pointer, bang! Lu Dort from downtown. It's back up to 15.
It's going to be a game remembered as the true Dub breakout game. An undoubtedly iconic NBA Finals performance. 40 points with the shot making, the scoring, the defense, the playmaking. It was the kind of game that removes any question, if there even should have been one, about his stature or readiness to complement SGA. Dub had arrived well before Game 5, but Game 5 cemented him.
It feels like you can get downhill and get to the basket at will. What's your sense of that? Just your ability that if you have it, whether you have space or not, you can get to the rim.
A lot of that has to do with my teammates. Being in the right spots offensively gives you a lot of space. Also, when they're hitting shots and they're being aggressive as well, it just opens up the floor. You know, there's 4 other people on the floor that they have to worry about. Obviously, one of those is Shai. That gives you a lot of gravity too. And a lot of it is about just making the right read. Not every night is going to be, you know, me getting layups and running, but maybe creating an advantage for a teammate and things like that. And that's something that I try to learn every single game I play, regardless of finals or, you know, we're playing in December on the road or something.
Now the Thunder were 1 win away from a championship. And they said all the right things, did all the right things. But for a young team, it was unavoidable to let the mind drift a bit. And the Pacers, again, were awesome, and they punished OKC for it. They outplayed the Thunder for basically 48 full minutes, sending a shockwave of doubt and fear and anxiety into the state of Oklahoma for the next 2 days as everyone waited for Game 7. The 20th Game 7 in NBA Finals history, the 5th in the last 25 years, in Oklahoma City. Honestly, amazing in of itself. It was the best crowd in Thunder history, with decibels hitting 112 and more. It was a tie game when Tyrese Haliburton went down in the first quarter, and even with the Pacers playing well for the rest of the half and actually leading at halftime, the game was clearly changed. But a title was still on the line, and even with Haliburton unfortunately out, the Thunder did what they've done all season long. They cranked the defensive energy, they forced turnovers, they went on a run, they let their defense be their offense, and they overwhelmed the Pacers in the third quarter. With 8:29 left, Dub hit a wing 3 to put OKC up 21, and even with the Pacers' comeback dark magic still there, it kind of felt like that was it. And let me just say this about Game 7, and really the entire playoff run. Put whatever qualifiers you want on it. Label it with an asterisk. But if you've watched the NBA, or any sport ever for that matter, that's so much of what a title run is about. Tom Haberstroh laid it out perfectly recently, showing how literally every single NBA championship could have some kind of asterisk attached to it. The playoffs are a war of attrition, about survival. Winning a title is often about the luck that comes your way, and that means in sometimes little things. Heck, J-Dub had a torn ligament in his wrist and played through it all the way through. That could have derailed Oklahoma City's playoff run, but it didn't. And I'm also thinking of things like in Game 5 against Denver. Chet's baseline jumper that hung on the rim just one extra bounce that allowed Isaiah Hartenstein to tip it in when it was about to be a Jokic rebound. Or Dort's near half-court miracle in Game 7 against the Pacers, or Dub's 3 in Game 7 that he totally missed, but it bounced 3 times and somehow went in. Those are the things that went OKC's way this time, and it was good luck, but it also came through being a good team. The last team standing gets there by capitalizing on the good fortune and making their own luck in a lot of ways, and also surviving the bad luck that finds them. Game winners that crawl in, banked threes, bad calls, unfortunate injuries. What we saw from the Thunder was a team that validated their greatness. They won 68 games in the regular season and 16 in the playoffs. 84 total is one of the highest marks in NBA history. Only 3 other teams have won more games in a single season. They had the most double-digit home wins ever in a postseason run. They were dominant throughout the entire season. They had some ugly moments. They faced some adversity. They looked like a young, inexperienced team at times, and they had times where you rightfully questioned them. They were pushed and they were tested because, again, they were the second youngest team to ever do this, the youngest in almost 50 years. But SGA showed why he was the MVP. Dub showed why he's an All-NBA co-star. And Chet showed why he's one of the best two-way players in the game. Go back and look at how many times the Thunder were pressed and had to answer. Don't dismiss this postseason run. It was full of magnificent moments and clutch plays. For a team as young as they are, to come up with the big plays, backs against the wall, against some of the best teams and best players, if you're trying to label the Thunder's season as anything other than great, then you're simply just not paying attention. Sam Presti said it in 2021. Shortcuts cut, long runs short. This team was built on their own clock, at their own pace. It was a vision realized through process and patience, belief and backbone. They stacked possessions, they stacked days, they stacked seasons. It was about 0-0 all season long, and that'll reset sometime in September. But for now, it's 1-0 for the Thunder. They have their ring, and it was quite the journey to get it. Some final words to live by from Presti's iconic letter. If you want an exceptional outcome, you must be willing to be the exception.